Hello, I'm Kev the Mankey, and welcome to the Mankey Enclosure. In this week's episode, we are opening up nothing. What we'll be doing is a beginner's guide to collecting. When we start out in this hobby, it is very hard to find our way in. If you're anything like me, you just go crazy and start buying anything in front of you. When you're working on a budget, that's not a great idea. Last week I asked you to guess the grade of this Ancient Mew card. If you guessed it came back as a 9. You're correct. Well done. First thing first. Before we start buying all these lovely cards, we need to ensure that we're going to keep these cards looking good. We can do this in several ways. We can buy ourselves some card sleeves. These are the ones I buy. There are many other brands out there which are just as good. We can buy some top loaders. Top loaders are hard, rigid plastic cases. These are also ideal for shipping them in. We also have semi-rigids. Semi-rigids are great for shipping your cards in if you want to get them graded. We'll touch upon that a little bit later. But the main thing we should all have for collecting purposes is a binder. The binders I choose to use, again, there are other companies out there you can choose, but this one is my personal favourite, is Voltex. I actually have several Voltex folders myself. Got this lovely one here for the Scarlet and Violet base set, and this one which is my Astral Radiance. Voltex are great because here on the sides you got the set numbers. Sword and Shield 10, which is Astral Radiance, and Scarlet and Violet 1, which is Scarlet and Violet base set. So to recap, before buying cards, invest in protection for your cards. Ideally with sleeves and binders. When looking for binders, there are several things you should look out for. First thing is top loading binders. Not as good. Cards can always slip out of them if the binder ends up upside down. And another, absolutely avoid ring binders. And all of us older collectors have done this back in the day. We had ring binders. You stack them, put any pressure on them, open close them too often. Sometimes the clips align wrong and they're a bit jolty, and they end up pushing down on the cards on that side, leaving little creases on the cards, effectively damaging them. And a big storage no-no, which I definitely did as a kid. The safest place to put your favourite cards is not in your pockets. We lost many great cards back then. But they are called pocket monsters for a reason. That was my logic anyway. The big thing with this hobby is the costs. And it is not a cheap hobby. Especially buying sealed, buying vintage, buying whatever. There's not much you can get away with and still be keeping money in your pocket. So the thing I'll say to new collectors is set a budget before setting goals and work your way from there. Of course, with this hobby you can always feed into your budget depending how you're doing it. So for instance, when I'm opening up a booster box and it's a set I am not looking to complete, like with these two, I normally end up selling the hits from that to go back into the channel, to go back into my collection and try and complete sets that I'm actively trying to complete. As your collection grows, you will find that you start doubling up on some cards, and sometimes you won't get the hit you want, but you'll get a big hit you've already got. You've got a double. You can sell that. When you get to a certain stage with a set and you're still opening sealed product, you're gonna start seeing a lot more repeats. That's a sign to stop buying the sealed products and to start buying individual cards. You will save yourself a lot more money this way. How I got started is I ended up buying about 7 booster boxes of Astral Radiance. Not everyone's going to be able to just go out and buy that. How I did it was I traded in cards to my local card store that I had no interest in anymore. For me, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Nothing against people that collect or play Yu-Gi-Oh! I just fell out of love with it, and I fancy trying Pokemon. But you know, it can be Digimon, it can be One Piece, it can be Magic the Gathering. You can trade these in at your local card stores. You can either get money, or you can get, in a lot of cases, store credit. That's what I did, and I got about £2 worth of store credit. It was a sizable collection. Obviously, budget is a big thing with this. You need to be careful, because opening packs and buying cards and getting them in the post can be very addictive. You don't want to put yourself out of pocket. You don't want to be able to, you know, be living on the last scraps of your paycheck on the final week before you get a payday. Be sensible. Don't overspend. Okay, Pokemon cards have been here for 25 years. They're going to be here tomorrow and the day after. Don't worry about that. So now you know how to protect your cards. You know how much you've got to spend. Now's the tricky part. Work out what you're going to spend it on. There are many different things you can collect when it comes to the world of Pokemon card collecting. You can collect sets. Here's a nice, simple one. Not all sets are the same. Some are quite small, which is a great intro for new collectors. Some are quite large. I do not recommend going after large sets if this is your first foray into collecting Pokemon. And if you're feeling adventurous, there are the ones that lie in the middle. An example of a smaller set, which is quite a good one as it's very recent, is the Obsidian Flames. Quite a small set, and even now the prices have dropped a lot. I don't know if you're watching this in the future how much those cards are, but even the main Charizard everyone's after, this one, has dropped to about $40–50. It came out when it was over $100. So quite easy to complete the whole set. One idea for a medium set is Scarlet and Violet. Fantastic set, and again, it's at a low point, so picking up those singles you need, not a bad idea, not going to break the bank. And a large set would be, using a recent example again, would be Paldea Evolved. This is made up of 3 separate sets from Japan, all mashed together. But you don't have to collect the newest product on the shelf. There is also vintage product which you can collect. You can try and do a whole set as a vintage set and try and collect them all. Obviously, this one is a little bit more expensive. However, if you're not worried about the language, vintage Japanese is a lot cheaper, amazingly. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, as I don't recognise the characters in Japanese, I don't read it, I don't speak it, it kind of adds to the artwork of it as a nice little novelty. So that's something for you. Another thing you can collect, you do not have to collect sets at all. You can collect your favourite Pokemon. Me, I've actually got a Mankey collection. I know, what a shocker. Again, these can come with a price. The more popular a Pokemon is, like your Pikachus, your Charizards, your Mews, Rayquazas, these all come with a price. Although if you're lucky like me and you're one of the weird ones whose favourite Pokemon is not the most popular, I always recommend collecting your favourite Pokemon then. It's a collection you're going to be more invested in, get more joy out of, and depending if it's a popular Pokemon or not, save a bit of money. Some people don't collect sets, some people don't collect individual Pokemon. These people collect themes. So what can a theme be? There are many ones. You've got the cards that tell a story. Very nice, cards that sort of whose art relates to each other, and you can kind of get a little idea of what's going on between them. You can also have a theme of sleeping Pokemon. It's quite a popular one. I've seen quite a few people having a collection of sleeping Pokemon cards. And then of course there is the banned Pokemon cards. These are cards that originally came out in Japan and for one reason or another had some controversy with the art, so they changed it for the Western release. You can collect your favourite artist. Popular artist at the moment, for me, Shinji Kanda is my favourite. Others like Tomokazu Kamiya. Others like Oswaldo, mainly known for his epic gold stadium cards. Speaking of that, you've got types. You can collect different types of cards. So you might want to collect the tag team cards. You might want to collect rainbow cards, full art cards, alt art cards, gold cards. But what if all of that isn't what you're about? What if you're all about the sealed product? Now me, I cannot be a sealed product. I have to open stuff like that. I don't need to open this because I can see what's inside it. But something like that, I need to open it. What's inside? So if you've got the willpower, go ahead, be a sealed collector. And of course, there is one of my favourite type of collectors. These collectors are the graded card collectors. Now I myself, I've only just got into the graded scene after looking at it for about half a year from a distance. And much like with protection, where you've got different companies you can use for your penny sleeves and for your binders, there's many different grading companies. The ones I use are Poker Grade or PG Grading. I think they've had a name change recently. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying that is who I use. Feel free to go out there and make up your own mind if you're interested in grading about which company you want to use. I'm just saying, for me, it's Poker Grade or PG Grading, whatever they're called now. I'll put a little edit in the bottom here. Why would you get a card graded? Well, there's many reasons. One, you can look at it as an investment. Raw card that's worth about £50, $50, what have you. You get that graded as a 9, more likely a 10, the price will rocket up. Scratchy head. That card that's worth 50 can now probably be in the range of 100, maybe 150. Some go a bit higher. There's not a formula to this, because everyone likes to chase a 10. 10, there's nothing better than this one, which came with a gold label, which matches the gold card. On that side you get such a better shot of the texture. It is a beauty. Pride and joy in my collection. I'm just realising I'm juggling a lot of different collections at the moment. Always have a goal and always focus on what you're collecting. Of course, saying this, you could just go out and collect cards you like the look of. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's not a right or wrong way to collect these things. It is a Pokemon world, and there's room for everyone in there. So where can we buy Pokemon cards from? You can pick it up in most retailers across the world, to be fair. But the places you want to go are your local gaming stores, or LGSs for short. These places will often have the widest selection. They will often have individual cards for sale, and they'll often be running little tournaments as well. So if you decide that you also want to play the game as well as collect, you've got an in which you can get exclusive cards from playing the actual card game to add to your collection. But there's not just physical places you can buy them, you can go online. Of course, always check out how valid these places are. With eBay you can be taking a risk, same with Amazon, but at the end of the day these places often work out best for price. Of course, if you get in with your local game store, become a regular customer, and they see your face, they might, I'm not saying they will, they're not obliged to help you out here, but they might let you have some things a little bit early, or even a discount. And a lot of places that do have local game stores also run trade nights. Trade nights are fantastic. People bring their binders, show you what they've got available, you show them what you've got, and hopefully you'll get down onto a trade. Get down onto a trade? Is that a thing? It is now. And the best thing about Pokemon and getting into collecting is the friends. And these people will help you out with your collection. I've got a good few friends up and down the country who we will send cards to each other back and forth constantly to to help out with collections. Even every now and then, a message, hey Kev, I just pulled this, do you need it? So with all that being said, there's not a right or wrong way to start your collection. Just as long as you're conscious of the money you are spending, and it's up to you if you want to keep those cards safe. They're your cards, do with them as you please. I hope you found this video informative in some way. Most of it was just a ramble. I'm not very good at putting pen to paper and reading a script. If you've got any advice for any new collectors, please leave it down in the comment section below. I might do a revision of this video somewhere later down the line and include your tips. Also, while you're down there, let me know what you're collecting. And if you really want to, upload it onto YouTube. I love seeing people's collections, I love hearing how they're going. Until next time though, I've been Kev the Mankey, and you have been awesome.